welcome to our show, Too Blessed to Be Stressed.
Today, our guest, Jocelyn Rodriguez, will speak to us about her journey going into being a nun. Gotta watch this.
Question.
Here we are once again in your favorite program on Too Blessed to Be Stressed. My name is David Bisonó. Y aquí está
Jocelyn Rodriguez. I have to say my full name just because David did it. But very blessed and very happy to be here this day.
How you doing, girl?
I'm very blessed, thank you. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm just excited. I feel phenomenal.
Phenomenal?
Phenomenal.
Amen, amen.
And I'm excited because we have our guest today. I've been trying to get this girl on the show.
Third season,
and finally,
finally,
her legs gave out on her. She couldn't run anymore. I cornered her, and she's like, "Okay, David, you know what? All right."
He gave me like 60 dates.
Yeah, didn't I? Okay, this day, that day, this day. Come on, pick one. So praise the Lord, praise the Lord. So today we have our sister, and before we even present her, please tell us, Jahaira,
yes,
the
I
theme.
have to give you the theme, which is all about. Come on. Young, smart, beautiful, and maybe a nun.
A nun, yeah. So
that's a question mark.
Question mark. Yes. So Jahaira, you always, present the guest.
Oh yeah. So please, guests, present yourself, beautiful. Present yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and where you come from. Short, not too.
Yeah. Don't go into when I was in your mom's womb that she had heartburn and
you had a lot of hair,
No, none of that.
You do this a lot. You're like 2 seconds. My name is Jocelyn. My last name is Rodriguez. I am 25 years old, and I have been a member of JDV since the beginning of time.
It's the inception. Since the labor pains.
Since
Still
the
going.
pregnancy test came out. Yes.
So, today's theme, young, beautiful, smart, and a nun. Jocelyn, I've known you for a while now, and it's for me. I'm just excited to know where God is leading you. And as we spoke, off the air, we really want to make this show a show to encourage women that it's okay to be young, to be beautiful, to be smart, and to be a nun. So first of all, as you said, you're 24.
25.
25. Young, beautiful, smart. The day I was talking to Father Agustino, and he was like, where did Jocelyn go to school? And I was like, well, I don't know where she did her undergrad, but I think she did her master's in Columbia University. He's like, word? So, she's like, she's pretty smart there. Like, he's like, he's like, well, I had an opportunity to go there, but I just, I turned him down. So, here you are, Jocelyn, you're a young, beautiful, smart woman. Why would a person who's young, beautiful, and smart would even consider being a nun? Like, talk about that. No, because it's true. Like, we live in a world that's like, nun. Like, why would I even want to do that? Like, why would Jocelyn want to do that?
Why do I want to do that?
Why do I want to do
Well, if you had asked me this question a year and a half ago, I would have been telling you, well, I don't want to. I think that when you begin to let go of the fear of intimacy with God, right, and you just begin to allow Him to romance you, and you begin to allow Him to just love you back, and you realize your own need to be loved, then you realize that you want whatever He wants for you. And for me, I really strongly believe that He's asking me to really consider religious life, which is to be a nun.
Right.
The first time I said that on air.
Oh, you really? Exclusive. Too blessed to be stressed, people. We bring you exclusive stuff. So, I don't know about you, Jahaira, but I look at Jocelyn, and she has no defects. She has 10 fingers, 2 eyes, a nose. No, because sometimes you think because why I say it, because sometimes when you talk about religious life, it's like, why would you want to do that? Like, why would you ruin your life? You know, and I think opposite. Like,
Or, you know, back in the days, you did religious life because it was a way of educating yourself.
okay,
Opportunities were
Right.
open to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know that they said, you know, I really consider that to being a priest. I usually, for men, it was a big deal because they were able to go to school, get some education, and bring back to their families and to their communities, and you know, and it was a great way. And I know, like my father-in-law, he always tells me about that. He was really considering because it was one way to get out of the environment they were in, and then to really bring something back to the community. And he felt maybe this is it, but then he realized, you know, some way that, you know, maybe not, but it was in the past. Either something was wrong with you, or you economically you needed this.
So like now, in your case, like
This is not none of the
yeah,
above.
exactly. Yeah, you know, like you have a job, you have a great education, you know, you're a normal functioning, boyfriend, relationships, you know, everything. So, you know, what made you decide this? Like what clicked? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think both of you were saying is really important to kind of go back. So I was in this almost 7-year relationship with a good young man. And I come from an incredible family. I love my parents to death. My parents have been married for 30 years for the glory of God. I am very, very, very close with both of my families. You know, it's not like we don't talk. It's not like anybody kicked me out of my house. I have very good relationships with my siblings. I was born and raised in the Catholic Church, had a true conversion when I was 16. And, through the Jornada movement first, and then through JDV, God really brought me kind of closer to him and to his people. I did my undergraduate at Brooklyn College in an honors program, and I say that, and then I also segued into getting my master's degree at Columbia University, where I now am, after 6 months at my job, I got a promotion to be director of a network, of a department, and now I'm here telling you that I want to be a nun.
So you want to leave all of that, Josh? Are you sure? You know, now what happened? Like, because, okay, you're doing great in school, you know, you're in an honors program, you know, you're doing your master's program, you're in a relationship, you have a great family, you know, everything is going, like, what happened for you to say, man, I don't want to even assume, I don't want to even interject and kind of assume, but what happened that made you say, I think this is it, like, I want to do this, like, what's up with that? Like, talk to us.
I think
it's just us,
that there is that, right? Just us, just you. Forget the cameras.
What cameras? It's just us. What are you talking about?
Yeah, nobody's listening.
Nobody's even watching you right now, girl.
They're right. I think that there's always. I think Saint Augustine once said that the soul is always restless until it finds, true rest in God. And there's always been a searching for that true peace, for that joy. And when you think you have it, you know, you're there and you bask in the glory and you love it. And you hold on to it. And then you get to a point where you're like, wait a second, I don't have it anymore. So is it really what I was looking for? Is it really what I thought would make me joyful? Not just happy, but really make me joyful. And there's an acronym somebody uses for joy, and I forget who it was. I believe it was Johnny Rodriguez from Defenders of the Holy Trinity that said this to me. Joy is Jesus first, others second, you last. Mm-hmm. And when you begin to put God first in your life, and like I said, it really is just this internal desire to be loved. I want to be loved. You know, who out there doesn't want to be loved? Amen. And when you allow God to love you, and you allow him to teach you, to show you more about yourself, because that's how you learn. When you have a deeper relationship with God, God lets you love yourself more. And when you begin to love God more and you understand that his will for you is to see you joyful, it's to see you happy, it's to have him first, to think of others second, and to think of yourself last. And when you begin to open your heart to those possibilities, I've always been involved in church, and it was in a meeting, but almost 2 years ago now, we were in a JDV meeting, and it was the final prayer. And I remembered, you, David, at the end of the prayer said, does anybody have anything to say? And I don't remember saying anything, but my mouth opened and everyone just looked at me. It was kind of like out of a movie. And I just stood there, and I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know. Sometimes, you think before you speak, and there was nothing in my mind. And out of my mouth came, God is calling me to discern religious life. And when I said that, that's when I received it. And I was like, what in the world just happened, Father? And then it makes complete sense to you when, like I said, I was very scared of intimacy for many reasons. And then when you just allow God to love you, you just allow God to love you. And he just shows you, like, I love you and this is what I want for you because I want you to be happy and I know what's going to make you happy. And I know you better than you know yourself because, you know, you change your mind all the time. You know, what you loved last year wasn't what you love now. And I know what's going to make you happy for eternity. And when you allow God to just, to allow you to discover that, you know, that's how it is. And then I found a spiritual director. It was a rough journey, but I found a spiritual director. And then the next important thing is I went and I visited religious communities, right? You have to, if God puts something in your heart, you know, the supernatural must also be respected, must be nourished in the natural. And so you have to go and talk to sisters, visit communities, see how they pray, see how they live, see how they serve. Right. And when you go and you do that, then it just makes complete sense.
So I want to talk a little bit about the struggle with separation. Because, you know, I think it's an important issue. Because, you know, what you're saying is, in essence, is I am going to separate from the known and venture into the unknown. I'm going to separate from what's the norm, the comfortable. Like, first of all, how did the separation happen with your boyfriend, for example? Was that an easy thing? Was it a hard thing? How did he take it? You know, 'cause again, we want people to understand this is not, you know, easy.
Right.
It's not an easy road, but it's worth the suffering and the struggle. Mm-hmm. So how did you handle that separation when we speak about your boyfriend, family, and friends? Let's do first boyfriend. How yeah.
In my previous relationship, when we decided to end things, it was a mutual decision. And by no means did I end it because I was discerning religious life. Let's make that very clear. By no means did I say, well, I want to be a nun, so hey, by the way, sorry, not for you, you know? Not at all. It was just, you know, you work very hard at a relationship and we gave it our all and we realized that we still weren't happy. At the end, we were making things harder for ourselves. We weren't at peace. And so when you realize that, you decide you have to walk away because if not, you're just going to make things worse for one another. And so we decided, you know, and it wasn't easy. I mean, you speak about it now because you know, God has allowed, you know, both of us to heal for the glory of God. But, you know, you just know you're not for each other. You know that it's not going to make you, it's not, you know, it's not that you guys are bad people. It's just that you're not right for one another. And so you decide to walk away, and I did. And I went through my very crazy stage where I had separated from the ministry at that point. I was unemployed because I just graduated, you know, and I ended my relationship with this young man who, like I said, I've known practically all my life. You know, he was the only relationship I've ever had. And so you do all that. And I felt like, well, God, I gave you everything in my life and I walk away with nothing, you know? And sometimes God has to take it all away so that he can say, okay, are you ready to pay attention to me now? Like, hey, are you ready to let me love you? You know, you've been looking to get loved. And so people have loved you the way that they've known how, but you can't, there's no way that a human being, mother, father, boyfriend, sister, friend could ever love you and you accept that love for the truth that it is unless you allow God to love you first. And you can try to go about it. You can do it so many other ways, but it really does come down to allowing God to love you.
So you know what? We're going to go on break right now. We come back, we're going to talk about the family and friend separation. And then we'll talk about, you know, just, you know, other great and good stuff. I'm just excited about this. So mi gente, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back on your program, Too Blessed to Be Stressed. No te vayas. And we're back. Too Blessed to Be Stressed with David.
And Jahira.
And our guest, Jocelyn Rodriguez. So we're talking about separation. So we talk, you know, boyfriend, okay, gone. Now, talk to us about the family separation. How did that go, or how is that going, or how did that went, or
how is it going and working?
Yeah.
That's such a great question. For anybody who knows me, they know, you know, my family really has been the most consistent blessing in my life. And so I think that that's the hardest thing. And I would lie to you if I said, well, it's going wonderful and it's easiest, everyone's so happy. Because I think that when you love someone enough, when you really love someone, you want the best for them. But when, especially with religious life, it's such an unknown world of wonder that because a lot of people don't understand it, they don't know it, they don't see it, they don't touch it, they don't breathe it, they don't know that people can truly be joyful and happy with it. And so when somebody that you love wants to do something that you don't know, it's that fear, like, well, what are you doing? Are you going to be okay? How can you choose to walk away from me to something that you have no idea that's going to fill you when you know that we've been so consistent with you? And so it's the unknown. It's that fear of, are you going to be, are you going to be happy without me? Because, all we've known is each other. All we've known is the family is each other. Even, as my brother, excuse me, got his family, and my sister, also my older sister, I'm one of four, she moved on as well. We still live like 10-block radius of one another. We're still with one another. And so to know that I am joyfully and freely choosing to do something that'll break what we've known for so long.
Right. So what? So your mother was like thinking, I'm going to get grandkids from Jocelyn, and I don't know. I'm just assuming here.
You believe what you know and what you see, and so if those of us who were never in church and never exposed to the reality of Christ, we would think out there that there isn't a God, that God isn't real, that prayer doesn't move, that prayer doesn't change. And so when all you see is marriage and all you see is married couples, and that's what you're expected to do as a young girl, is find a man and you get married and you have kids and you start a family. That's what's expected.
I have a lot of questions, Jocelyn, because I just had, again, random conversations with people, and I don't think that this was an easy, here in the United States, I don't know much about it, but it is a search. It is a lot of work. Even when you're trying to go this path, you still have to encounter the same issues and the same situations that you encountered in any job, in any everyday situation that you're in. Again, you're going into marriage with Lord. You're going into responsibility and commitment, even if it's not with a man, like if we wouldn't do it in a traditional way to get married, have kids, you're going into a different kind of, commitment, and probably even worse and crazier.
Not worse. It's just
not in the sense of how we, if you really think about it, wow, you have to, again, leave your family, leave everything you know, all the work you have done. You're probably gonna, most people I know, they have to go the way that they're, la congregación or whatever you go into.
You have to leave your job.
You have to go and do
separation.
It's total, completely, you giving up
everything,
your life to, again, marry God, to just do that. And I always thought, it's probably easy. It's probably a piece of cake. And can you give us just a quick, because I know now I learned, again, ignorance, that is not. That it is a whole complete, very
process.
It's lengthy, as you have to do your research like any other career.
With any decision that you make, there has to be discernment. And so if your vocation is marriage, then that's going to be very hard for you. It's not going to be easy. If your vocation is single life that's just consecrated to the church and not being a religious, that's going to be difficult for you as well. And if your vocation is religious life, because your vocation, what it does is it leads you closer to the cross, right? Everyone loves to look at the resurrection and the ascension of Christ, but what you do is, instead of somebody dragging you to Calvary, you decide, okay, I'm going to walk there. And so when you make that decision, that doesn't come with, flowers and parades.
Well, again, going back to what you said about when you're going to get married, right? You meet a guy, right? And you don't just like marry him. Right. Well,
some people do.
Yes, we'll do. And normally, you should not. It should be a process of dating. So would the dating here be like the discerning part, where like in an order where I'm pretty sure that you don't get your vows out of the way. You have to go through a process. So would that be like the dating process, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like where you
7 years, yeah.
Where you're like dating and like, is this what I really want, and.
It's very freeing. You bring up a very good point, and I think that and I hope that whoever watches the show really goes out there and they do learn more about religious life. Yeah. So it is at least a 7-year process in the United States of America. No matter what religious community you go to, for women it is at least 7 years, and so usually you make yearly commitments or vows to stay in the community for a year, and then after those yearly commitments, you can freely decide to walk away. Or you decide, well, maybe this congregation, this community isn't for me. I'm going to try a different community. And so the other beautiful thing is that you're not in it alone. Just like in a relationship, you can tell a guy you like him, but if he doesn't like you back, I mean, not really going to get far, you know? It's kind of getting in stalker mode. And so when you decide that you feel like you're being called to a community, you feel like you're very attracted to their way of life, then they too need to say to you, well, we feel like you know, that
it's a fit. It's a fit. Like, you know, basically, if I'm a charismatic or a community, and you can be, you know, great, but if you don't fit into this joy, happy, jumping, dancing, you know, you're more of a contemplative, then you'd be like, you know what? I know an order that would love to have you.
Right, absolutely.
They're contemplative sisters. They, you know what I'm saying? They don't do what we do. You know what I'm saying? So it's about fun. And you know what's? I don't know. I love our church for that. It's so beautiful.
Thank God.
Isn't it incredible that you don't have to be like, oh my God, I am not contemplative. How do I do this? I love to jump. I can't jump anymore.
I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to talk. I mean, God knows.
Look at the rules. No singing. Like, you know. So, you know, Jocelyn, in this process, as you know, she said, it is difficult. But I believe that it's worth it, because if you're going to commit your life to a relationship, then it's important that you find out who the dude is, who his parents are, what are his intentions with you. Is this a long-term thing here, or you want to just play with my feelings? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's like the same kind of thing. Like,
and there's got to be courtship, right?
They got to be like, you know what? Let's go off a little while.
Bring me flowers. Let's go out to dinner. Let's talk on the phone every night.
Call me, email me, you know, text me, you know? So, I don't know. What can we do? Or you know, of course, we don't have the answers, but I really want to encourage young women to, like, look into this, you know, like, come on, like, you know.
Well, you know, somebody once told me when God really first revealed to me that I should discern religious life, I was like, heck to the no, absolutely not. You know, and like I said, I was born and raised in the Catholic Church. You know, I went to a high school that was run by religious sisters. You know, in our parishes, there was always in my experience a religious sister involved, and I'm not sure if that hindered or if that helped my decision at the end of the day.
That's another program.
Nonetheless, they were there and they were very present to me. And I said, you know, if some, you know, and me, who's a person who, you know, I was involved in church, and I really wanted to love God at that, you know, I still want to love God, but I really wanted to serve God with my whole heart, mind, and soul. And when God had revealed that to me, and I said no, I was like, I wonder how people who don't even know, you know, who don't even know the name of God, what their reaction must be to that. And so I think the first thing that we have to do is continue to pray for vocations. I believe very much so that I'm a fruit of all of the prayers. You know how the Pope does, you know, the Pope, he, what's the word I'm looking for? He made this year, he designated this year to be the year of vocations and the year of priest. And so I'm very much a fruit of that. I'm very much a fruit of those who've come before me, who prayed me to where I am. You know, I thank God for my father here on earth, who I know was praying for me for 16 years, you know, to really snap out of my own selfishness and to begin to see what the world really was about and the truth of Christ. And so there are so many people that have prayed me to where I am. And so I think the first thing that we have to do is just pray for vocations.
Amen.
Pray so that people can be open to that, because religious communities, they're not hidden on purpose. They live such a simple life. They don't have, a lot of them, you know, don't have technologies. They don't have radio stations. You know,
well,
some people don't.
Some do. Some
are. The majority,
hip.
yeah.
Some are hip. Some are on Facebook. They Twitter. Right. We're talking about Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, please. Anyway, so prayer is the first thing.
So prayer, absolutely.
Okay, so viewers, listeners, let's get to praying.
Yeah.
Pray for vocations. Pray, because as you said, we need to pray people out of their, you know, cocoon. You know what I'm saying? We got to crack that shell. And, like, of course, we can't pull them out of there. But we got to, like, man, get out of there. Like, you know. So, okay, we got to pray. Okay, so we got that. Prayer. Okay, next. Then what? What do we do then after that?
Next thing is, you know, if you really feel like you just want to learn more about it, call your priest. Call the station. David will give you my number. I will give you a book. There are thousands of communities out there. Yeah, just go out there and say, you know, where's the religious community? I'd like to help. And that doesn't mean that you have to become a religious sister. And young men are also allowed to, you know, volunteer in whatever apostolates they have if it's an active community. Right. You know, religious communities, they do everything. Right. They do everything. They're just as busy. A lot of them, their days start at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and their days end at 11 o'clock at night. Right. You know, and the difference is that they're not as stressed out because their focus is prayer and their focus is a relationship with God. Right. But they're just as productive as those of us who get salaries. They're just as productive as those of us, you know, who sleep only 3 hours a day to try to get things done. And so,
holler back.
you know,
Holler back.
they drink coffee too. God knows that helps. And so, the next step is to you know, do your research, just to learn. Go online and Google what is religious life. Go to a Catholic website and find out what religious life is about.
Girl, we're just so excited for your journey, and we're excited to see where it takes you.
Keep praying.
Wherever, yeah.
And for all
Fasting,
those other
praying.
young girls that are
yeah. For all those young girls right now, are also discerning, and they're like, oh, where do I go?
And for those young girls that don't have the communities that I have of support, I have a great community of support. And so for those young people who are out there, whose families don't want to know anything, and their churches are telling them, figure it out on your own, you know.
Come through. We'll help you. We'll connect with Jocelyn. We'll talk to you, because if anything, you know, we want to encourage you. We want to pray for you. We want to love you. We want to let you know that it's okay to be young, beautiful, smart, and then.
And just one last thing, I was just going to say, I would always wake up and I'd say, Lord, I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. And when we understand that God longs for us to be more happy and more joyful than we long for ourselves,
of course,
then we're like, all right, God, I'm going to stop fighting you now. Just kind of show me. And we cannot expect out of any relationship for someone to show us who we are. You know, only God can really show us who we are. And in that, then we'll find out where we really are truly happy and joyful.
The other day in my Facebook, I put a little thing that says, stop swinging. You already won. Yeah. You know, we're just like so crazy. Oh, and God is like, calm down. Like, I already won the battle. Jahida?
Amen. No, we just want to encourage everyone to keep praying for the para las devociones, for all these vocations that we're talking about, and for the discerning process. And we pray to God that He blesses you and continues to give you that word that you need. And I hope that, again, your example could be a great example for other people, and a testimony for those that are, again, just wanting God to be happy, to make just what you said. It just made all sense. That, you know, we so much want to be loved and be happy, and that's what God wants for us. And if we don't recognize it, and if we don't love ourselves first, but through God, then we're going to be always lost and always depressed and always. So I just pray to God that He really reveals to anyone that's going through that, to really be revealed in their lives.
Amen. So, mi gente, see you next week. And as you wait, I encourage you to pray, seek, look. Don't sit down. Just get out there. You know, God loves you and He wants to be with you. And there's a community out there that may want also to accept you. Maybe I won't accept you, but they will. Just kidding. Just kidding. Everybody is accepted and too blessed to be stressed, okay? Mi gente, see you next week. God bless you. May you just walk in His presence and know that He loves you more than you love yourself and more than you will ever know. See you next week. Peace.
Bye. Thank you for watching our show.
Today's guest, Jocelyn Rodriguez, young, beautiful, smart, and guess what? She wants to be a nun. So today you can also be encouraged. If you're looking for that as well, please go for it. God is waiting for you.
See you next time.